I was like, oh, the reason why I haven't started my money coaching business is because my job is so draining. The reason why is because I don't have enough time in the day to learn this new skill set, or because my job is going to find out that I'm creating content and they're going to fire me. Like I had all these like negative thoughts per se about like why my job was holding me back. And then when I quit my job, the only person that was holding me back was me.
Welcome to the Chingona Revolution podcast, where we will bring out your inner badass Latina, overcome self-doubt, help you gain clarity, and pave your own path, all while leading with courage. I am your host, Latina coach and speaker, Erica Cruz. Hello. Welcome back to this week's episode of Chingona Revolution podcast. This is Erica Cruz, your podcast host. And today's episode is one that will absolutely inspire you to stop waiting for the perfect moment and start trusting the pull that you feel to move you forward. I'm sitting down with Bianca, who is a 2-time client of mine inside of Courage Driven Latina. And she went from feeling stuck in a 9-to-5 that she had outgrown, that she knew she wanted to leave, to co-founding Confianza Wealth, which is a mission-driven financial planning firm with her husband. What they do is they help first-time wealth builders create generational wealth, and they help them do it without shame, confusion, or gatekeeping. But the journey was not linear. It was full of self-doubt, healing, pivoting, and most importantly, courage. In this episode, we're talking about why quitting her job didn't automatically solve everything and what really had to shift. We also talk about the mindset blocks that Bianca had to break through before building confidence online. We also talk about her powerful realization that she was the only one holding herself back, how she found clarity through messy action and failure, and how being in community with other ambitious Latinas made her feel seen, heard, and supported in a way that transformed everything. She opens up about her money story, the fears that she had around stepping into visibility, and the healing that she's done inside of CDL, which is Courage Driven Latina, that has helped her become the version of herself that she used to dream about. So if you've ever had the thought, who am I to do this? What if I fail? Or I'll start once I feel ready, then you need to hear this story. So grab your drink, grab your cafecito, get comfortable. If you are on a drive, listen to this powerful conversation because you might just see a little bit or a lot of yourself in Bianca's journey. Let's get into the interview. Bianca, welcome to Chingona Revolution podcast. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for having me. I just want to say that I've been listening to your podcast probably for over 2-3 years. So it's an honor to be here. I mean, it's an honor to be your client. It's an honor to be here finally on your podcast. The first time I chickened out when you sent the invitation. I think it's so real what you say. Like everybody wants to be on a podcast until they receive that invitation. And I was like, I'm not ready yet. So I just left it lingering. So I'm really honored. I'm really proud of myself that now I'm doing this, and I didn't chicken out. When I first saw that email, I was like, yes, I'm gonna do this because
amazing.
I feel ready.
Thank you for sharing that because, I think that you're touching on such an important point where people have all of these big dreams, but the moment they have an opportunity to attain that dream, it's really scary. And that's a big part of the work, right? That's why we focus on the skill of courage so much, because courage means that you're afraid, but you still do it. And I think you're sharing such a real part of the courage journey where there are going to be times when we're not going to like jump forward. Like it requires us taking a different action and then almost like learning from that action and saying, okay, no, next time I want to make a different decision. And that's literally like growth, and that's literally what growth is.
Yeah, I mean, I remember you talking about it one time in one of your podcasts. I think you have talked about it a couple of times, where it's like a lot of people want these big dreams, right? And then the moment it comes knocking at your door, you're like, oh crap. That's literally what was my reaction. And I was like before, I think I used to be like, oh, if someone were to send me an invitation, if Erica would have sent me an invitation, of course I'm going to do it. Of course I'm going to. And then I got the email and I was like, oh no, I don't feel ready. Like So I really appreciate, like, I think it's been really amazing to see the transformation, because that was like my number one reason to sign up. Like, I for the longest time, I was like, I dream of wanting to be on podcast episodes. I dream of showing up on social media, confident, like really showing up like an influencer, right? Center of influence, because I feel like what I have to say is important, because of my journey, and I've felt very alone in my journey with building
Mhm.
wealth, with being, just first generation wealth builder. And so I really appreciate like all the help that has gotten me to this point, because I really like this was a big dream for me, and I feel like sometimes I still can't believe that I'm living that dream.
Yeah, you've had a crazy amount of transformation. And so yes, you are my client. You've been my client a few times actually because you've joined Courage Driven Latina twice, but I'm also your client.
Yes.
And with your new business, as
Yes.
in like new compared to whenever we first started working together. So let's take it back to whenever we first met, because I remember that we had a consult call and you were working a job you did not like. You wanted to start a business. There was just like a lot of doubt and uncertainty. And I was actually looking at your entry survey. You were like, I really want to get back to working out. And then before we started recording, you're like, I just got back from yoga. And then when I saw you in the San Diego area last weekend, you were like talking about Pilates. And I was like, look at you, like doing all the things you said you wanted to do. But take us back to that moment, which was over, like, it was about a year and a half ago. What,
Yes.
like, where were you? Where was Bianca?
So I joined your program in March of 2024, and I quit my 9 to 5 in April of 2025. And I had been in wealth management for 4 years. Prior to that, I was in life insurance. I was in the financial services industry. So a big part of my career has been in personal finance. So I was pretty like fed up at my 9 to 5, because I felt like I wasn't being challenged. I felt like I wasn't putting my skill set to full use. I was just unfulfilled. But sometimes I reflect on like the moment, like all of this now. I'm like, everything that I learned was not for nothing. And sometimes
Yeah.
it's so, like what you say, it's so easy when we're living in the moment to not see the point. But once we look back, it's like, okay, that was worth it. This was happening in my life because it was preparing me for the next big moment. So to pretty much like I quit my 9 to 5 because I was like, I've been in this same job for 4 years. I'm not doing anything. The wealth management industry is a lot more regulated, and if I wanted to work within wealth management and like launch our own firm, I would have to disclose that with my job, and I just felt like it was going to put up a lot of restrictions. It was just going to put up a lot of like just not feeling like ethically good. So that's why I was like, it's just time to go. It's time to move on. And so, just to give a little bit backstory, my husband Jerry actually, because he actually was working in wealth management, and he stopped working in December of 2023. So I was like, he's like now like self-employed, like
Hmm.
maybe this is a sign for me to not quit my 9 to 5. Maybe I need to stay to support. And so he was basically like, no, you're leaving. Like I don't care like what happens, like you're leaving that job. Okay, like it's time for you to move on. You've been wanting to move on. Like you've been talking about wanting to launch your own money coaching business for the longest time. I want you to go do it. And so I joined your program. And I was like, okay, I'm ready to post content. I'm ready to do all these things. And I didn't do anything
That's
because
not
I
true.
was,
You quit your job though. You quit your job. You also started to create content even if it was inconsistent. But okay, go ahead and tell me what you
yes,
were going to say.
yeah, like I did, but I was like still like, I was still scared. Like
Of
I
course.
think I was like, oh, the reason why I haven't started my my money coaching business is because my job is so draining. The reason why is because I don't have enough time in the day to learn this new skill set, or because my job is going to find out that I'm creating content and they're going to fire me. Like I had all these like negative thoughts per se about like why my job was holding me back. And then when I quit my job, you know, the only person that was holding me back was me. And that was hard.
Ooh. Yeah,
So
I know people can relate to that. It's so easy to point fingers and like, oh, if I had more time, I would do this. If I had this, I would do that. And then, like the specific situation you mentioned, I've had a few clients who were in that situation, and I told them, I hope you know, quitting your job isn't going to immediately solve your problems. Like, yeah, you'll have more time, but if you're not already taking the action, more time is actually going to make you spiral into more. But we have to learn these lessons. But the thing is that you knew you wanted to leave anyway.
yes. So so that was a big realization for me, that I noticed like, oh wow, like the only person that was holding me back this whole time was me. And so it really gave me, I really had the time to reflect on what I needed to work on, right? Because there's no one else to blame anymore. I can't blame it on my colleagues, on my boss, on my husband. Like it's like,
Yeah.
no, it's all you, girl. Like you got to get to work. So and then so while Jerry had he was like on track to like he launched his wealth management. I was like, yeah, I'll help you with the social media because I that's what I've been wanting to do. So I might as well help you do that. Like I think I will find it fun. And but then at inside of me, I was like, I think we should I think I still want to create my own business. Like you do your business, I do my business. And I had to really dig deep on like why I felt that way. And I had to reflect a lot on my childhood. I had to reflect a lot on my upbringing. And so obviously, for those who don't know, my parents are entrepreneurs and they grew up doing business together. So and the way I saw them do business together was, I don't want to do this. I never want to be in business with my partner.
Mm-hmm.
And so I always like, yeah, like you're like, that was where that was stemming from. And it wasn't because like my husband was like, no, you go do your own thing. I'll do like like Jerry was like, you're more than welcome whenever if you want to grow this with me. But if you want to go do your own thing, I understand. I support you 100%. Like you go do what you feel like you need to do. And so I started like through your coaching, I started doing like one-on-one complimentary clients. And what I found out was that I do know what I'm talking about. I do have a lot of experience, because working within wealth management, surrounded by all these like certified financial planners, I was like, why me? Why should I teach this when they're the ones who are licensed? They're the ones who have all this like, you know, actual like certified knowledge per se. And so, but when I did that, I was like, no, I do bring a lot of value to the table. I don't know everything, but I do know enough to actually make a difference. And but then I started realizing, I was like, you know what? But I feel like I've outgrown the budgeting. I feel like I've outgrown paying off debt. Um, I think I want to be able to help out people like leverage the tax system, leverage the estate, like the state laws, leverage investing a lot more, because I feel like I will do more of a service to them versus just focusing on budgeting and paying off debt. Like, of course, that's very essential service, but I was like, I want to do the holistic thing, the thing that wealthy people are receiving. And that's literally what Jerry was like, you know, starting to really unfold what that ideal client looked like. And so pretty
Mm-hmm.
much like I was very involved, and I started building out the service tiers. I was like, yes, we're going to have a starter for the people who just want budgeting and debt, paying off debt. We're going to have a middle tier, so that people who have been investing, but now that they need that little extra push so that they know they maximize on making sure that they're being invested accordingly. And then the third tier, like making sure that this person has already been investing, now they are maxing out like being strategic with the tax system and the estate, like the estate system in the United States. So that was like all of me. And so then I was like, you know what? This is my dream business. I can work with my partner. My partner is not my parents. We
Mm-hmm.
can redefine what working in business looks like together, just like I have redefined what my marriage looks like together. So
Beautifully said. I think people assume that they just need to know like what to do and have a plan to do it. Like they just want the right or the wrong way. But what you just brought up is that we're humans first, right? So even if you know exactly what to do, sometimes there are other things that can come up, like mindset blocks or past trauma, or like things that really need to be addressed and healed. So what do you think being in a community like Courage Driven Latina, or just like being in a supportive community, did for you during those times? Because like it can be really easy to hear this and think, oh, it's all just about business, but it's
mhm.
not. It's also about healing and like your own. It's also about life at the end of the day, right? Like the reason we even want businesses is to create the life we want.
Yeah, I think being a big part of being in the program was like of the community. Yeah, like just the support. Um, just it just made it feel like less alone. Like I just felt less alone because in my corporate job, I felt really alone because I was like, I can't be the only one that feels like I'm unsatisfied. Like this is not
Mm-hmm.
enough. Like I'm just naturally a very ambitious person. And granted, everybody that I worked with was ambitious, but they were content with the life that was given like to them, like
Mm-hmm.
within the corporate job. Like, and like to say I had a great job. Like the company is great, a great company, but I felt unfulfilled. I felt like I deserved more. I felt like I was worthy of more. I just didn't know how to get there. And to be surrounded by other women that actually felt the same way was just like a big deal to me because I finally felt like I was being seen. And I remember like a big thing, like you always saying that your program is that opportunity as child of immigrants to be finally seen and heard. And I think like my parents were always too busy working. And
Mm-hmm.
granted, like I have great parents. They're actually really amazing, but there are things that I'm realizing now that I'm older that I'm hitting like, this other side of like just maturity that I'm like, wow, like this was actually lacking in my life and my childhood.
Mm-hmm.
I feel it now. Like I feel like my concerns are valid. My concerns, my thoughts are valid. So a lot of that was brought up, and it was nice to have like other women who feel the same way, and and are in the trenches with you.
Yeah.
Really really just pushing through, because like at the end of the day sometimes like social media, right, on the outside it can look like very beautiful and very filtered, and like they have their life together and they don't have a worry in the world. But on the other side, like we don't know what's happening on the other end. So I think that was my opportunity to really build other relationships, especially as someone who had kind of lost that because I moved to another state. I was a military wife. I moved away from my friends, my community, and to have that again, like I think I went from like not like I was like actually like sad because I felt like I wasn't attracting people that were ambitious and wanted more out of life. And now I feel like that's all I attract.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So that is beautiful. Yes, I would agree that I've always said one of the keys to success is who it is that you surround yourself with. And having a community of like minded people really makes the world of a difference. And the difference between social media, where everything is kind of, like people are rarely sharing. Sometimes people can be really vulnerable on social media, but we're rarely seeing the reality of what's going on behind the scenes. I think in a coaching program or group program like this, you're hearing people hearing people's struggles, right? And then seeing
Mm-hmm.
them overcome them. And that in itself is also really motivating. Or like when one of you is down, the other one's like, they believe in you more than you believe in yourself. And that's a really beautiful thing. Even if people have different goals, some people have business goals, other people have career goals, and other people have just like goals to be more confident and just like life improvement or healing goals. One of the big things I see come up a lot for people is struggling with perfectionism or all or nothing mindset. And this is one of the things that you also mentioned in your entry survey, that you like wanted to create content, but perfectionism was the one thing that was holding you back. So my question for you is, how have you been able to take messy action and build confidence over time? What has helped?
Oh man, I think it's been a number of things, but I think you really do a great job of just being like, if this is too complicated, forget it. Like do your podcast, don't edit it. If editing is stressing you out, just put it out there. And if just this post, if it's too stressful for you to do this, like start easier. And so I think that really helped me um navigate that, because I do have a lot of those perfectionistic tendencies. I think I've let go a lot of that. Now I'm like, done is better than nothing.
Yeah.
Like posted is better than nothing, So that's kind of the way I see things now. And I'm like, okay, I'm like, as long as it gets done, the goal is like that was the objective. Let's move on. So I think that has helped a lot with navigating through that. Just practice. It's gonna be messy. I think I love always what you say. It's messy action over perfection. I think I hold that mantra now, because yeah, if you go back to my feed, like my first not even my feed, Jerry's feed, my husband's feed, because I'm the one creating his content. Like if you see the first couple of posts, they're not great. So they're it's like a beginner. And now like my
Hmm.
editing skills are a lot better. It just takes time to
Now
learn
your
and be.
content's killing it.
Oh, thank you. But
It
it
is.
just it thank you so much. Yeah, that means a lot. But it's just like little by little, you just start adding, like making it your own. You just start learning. You're learning a whole new skill set.
Yeah.
I have a mad respect for content creators now. Like just being on the other side, it's like I have utmost respect for the people who create content for a living. So yeah, but messy action, and who cares? And sometimes like I would be very like, oh my gosh, how many people like this, how many people like this. But now the way I think I recently just reframed my mindset, like at the end of the day, like 300 people saw this post, 2000, like can you like now I start visualizing, okay, how much is 1,000 people? You go to
Yeah.
maybe like a small concert venue, that's 1,000 people that saw your thing. So I'm like, that's a lot of people. So
Hmm.
now I have that, like that doesn't necessarily mean like, oh, if only 3 people liked it, but at the end of the day, if 1,000 people liked it, who cares? Like you got that visibility, and you're only going to get better from here on out. So I think a lot of it has been reframing my mindset, building that confidence little by little. But there's moments where I'm like, what's going on? Is it me? Do I suck at this or what? So I think it's just part of the journey, and the more you do it, the more confidence you build. So that's what has been
Definitely.
helped, not quitting, because I quit the first time I did it, and now I'm like, wow, like I'm not doing that again. I'm gonna keep going no matter what. I
Yeah.
Failing is a good thing. You only learn from failing. Yeah.
Yeah. That was actually my next question for you about failure, because the people do everything they can to avoid failure, but it's through failure that we learn what doesn't work and what to improve, right? And if you're never failing, you're really not trying, because the most successful people aren't afraid of failing. Like they're willing to go out and take action even if it flops. Like they're willing to be seen failing. So um
Yeah.
while before I think that was a big thing you didn't want to do, like you were avoiding failure, I've seen you step into this new version of yourself where you are not afraid of failing anymore. And because you're not afraid of failing, you don't even look at little failures as failures anymore. They're more just kind of like redirections, and like you just kind of keep going. The doors to Courage Driven Latina are officially open. This is my signature group program designed to help you stop overthinking and finally take action on that dream that's been tugging at your heart. Whether you are looking to launch a business, start a podcast, pivot in your career, or build unshakable confidence, this program has supported over 275 women in doing exactly that. And the best part is, while the framework is designed to help you get results in just 90 days, you'll get support for a full 12 months. Imagine who you could become 1 year from now, starting with one decision today. If you want to show up as a completely different version of yourself next year, then your work starts right now. Enrollment closes on July 23rd, and this round is extra special because I'm donating 10% of July sales from Courage Driven Latina to the Young Center for Immigrant Children's Rights, which is a nonprofit that provides legal representation and volunteer advocates for immigrant children. So if you've been on the fence, this is your sign. This round isn't just about stepping into your purpose, it's also about giving back to our community. Go to couragedrivenlatina.com to secure your spot or to book a consult call. But don't wait. Your courage is calling, and the doors are closing on July 23rd. I'll see you on the other side.
Yeah, I actually have like two examples of that. So like the first one, so just a little bit backstory. When I moved out here from Chicago, I'm born and raised in Chicago, but my husband was in the Marine Corps while we were dating, and we married. And then I moved out to San Diego. And while I was job hunting, I came across a network marketing group that sold specifically life insurance. And to be fully transparent, that was probably one of the moments that I got depressed. And the reason being was because I faced a lot of rejection. If you've done network marketing, like there's just rejection left and right. And I had never felt that before. So for me, that was a big shift. Like, and I think looking back now, I was always looking for that instant gratification. I wanted that like validation from my friends and my family. Like, you're doing amazing. You're doing all these great things. And so we did network marketing, which was a lot of no's. It was hard. It was like a lot of people like seeing what I did like as a joke sometimes, and a lot of negative reviews and stuff like that. And then I got out of that industry and I went into wealth management, and that changed my whole perspective, my whole outlook. But I failed. If you think about it, technically we got out of the network marketing because we failed. We weren't making sales. We weren't, growing as fast, but I failed hard at that point. Then I met my 9 to 5. I'm not moving up the corporate ladder as fast as I thought I would. And I felt like that was a failure too. I was like, I feel like I should be further ahead. And now I think the biggest thing that I learned was that I don't have that craving for that validation from other people. I know what I'm doing is because I love it, and it's because it is something that I'm truly passionate about. It's something that I truly believe in. And so that's why there's no holding me back this time. But I think I had to fail all those times to get to the point where I am the co-founder of my own wealth management group, and I know I'm going to grow this thing, and I know I'm going to have like numerous employees, working under my company, and we're going to change the industry. But I think I had to fail. Thanks to being in life insurance, I know what that industry looks like. Thanks to being in wealth management, I know what that industry looks like. And I think those failures are going to help me with my success going forward.
Totally. Yes. Oh, so one of the questions I have for you is, you and Jerry saw a gap in the financial industry. Why is it important for you both to serve first-time wealth builders instead of high net worth individuals?
Oh, I love this question. I think because we're a product of that. So basically, within wealth management, you you basically, so there's like, basically, if you think about it, there's two industries. The one industry is primarily everybody, when somebody calls themselves a financial advisor, most, like probably 9 out of 10 times, they sell life insurance, they sell mutual funds, and that's pretty much, or annuities. So that's pretty, and they're the ones that usually help people who don't have a high net worth. And sometimes they'll get a couple people here that, and what I mean by a high net worth is people who have more than 500K in investable assets. So people who have 500K in a retirement account or a taxable account. So that's usually, that was the industry we were in. And then I moved on to wealth management, the 1%, where it's just tailored financial advice. They don't sell any life insurance, they don't sell any mutual funds. All they do is give advice. But the caveat is that they have to have more than 500K in investable assets to get in. So we actually, since we were both working at wealth management, and they believe in financial literacy. So to pay it forward, they offer this service to their employees. So Jerry and I decided to do this through our employer, and we had like tremendous results from it. Like we started like maxing out our Roth IRA. We just got little like advice, like we were doing pre-tax contributions, and it was like, you don't need to be doing that type of investment because you guys don't even earn that much. You guys need to be maximizing on Roth because right now you're in the early stages of your career and you're only going to make more money. Once you're making really good money, then we'll swap over to the other side. Like that, like even those little things, knowing how much I'm going to pay in taxes, not overpaying but not underpaying, so that we're not penalized by the IRS. Having the guidance of being like first-time homeowners in California, and being like, California is a community property state. So the last thing we want is for you to put your house on a will. You need to put it in a trust so that makes sure it doesn't go through probate if one of you passes away. So just all of those things like trickled up, and we were just like, wow, like this is transformational.
You're like, why does nobody tell our community this stuff?
Yes. And I'm like, I'm not a millionaire, but all of this information is so helpful right now. And so that was like the pivotal point for us. Like, we're like, wow, like we really like, and it wasn't like we're making 6-figure salaries. Like we were, I was under a 6-figure salary. Jerry was under a 6-figure salary, and we were still able to have like transformations. And now even with our clients, like we have like amazing transformations with them. So it's like all of that built our why. And now like, it's like, before, I think when I was selling life insurance, I just always felt in the pit of my stomach, is this like a good thing? Is this like, are we doing the right thing? Because I like, my integrity to me is important. So I would always be like, are we doing the right thing? Because everybody's telling us that we are, like the people who we work with. But is this really the best strategy to build wealth? Versus, and that's what I say now, thanks to working in wealth management, I'm like, duh, yeah, what we do is important. What we do does change lives. What we do is transformative, period. So that's pretty much how that really built our why to build out our company, because we were in the beginner stages. We were newlyweds when I was 22. So we suffered, like we lived the paycheck to paycheck. We argued about money. I saw my parents argue about money, his and hers. My parents are very like separate finances. Jerry, his family, he was really brought up with like one income. So we were both navigating this together as a marriage. Like, how does this look like? How are we gonna like have this relationship with like ourselves and money? Like, how are we gonna grow this thing? So navigating all of that was really, really hard in the beginning. And now, like, yeah, I say it like, oh yeah, I hated working my job, but I'm like, but thanks to working, I think now I'm grateful. But in the moment, I wasn't. I was like, I'm ready to get out of here. But now looking back, I'm like, oh my gosh, everything that I've done was getting me ready for this moment. And I'm so grateful for it.
Yeah, it's so like we talked about this earlier, but it's so right when you were saying, when you were in that moment, you're like, oh, I just want to get out of here. But then once you get out, you're like, oh, damn, that was actually so helpful. But we just resist what is because we can't wait to get to what's next. And the same thing happened with me. I was so frustrated being in the tech industry, but there's no way I'd be running the type of business I'm running now if it wasn't for my experience in tech, like me having knowledge of automations. And like when it comes to a systems perspective, my business is really set up because of that knowledge. And also, like, I was creating content for the company I worked for. So it was like I was getting little training wheels to learn how to ride the bike before I went off and did it on my own, right? So it's like we were learning on somebody else's paycheck, which is great.
Exactly.
Yeah, one of the big things that I wanted to touch on is, I think people they may not have clarity on exactly where they're going. Like for you, you went through a lot of changes. You went through leaving your job, you went through starting to create content, starting a money coaching business, and then pivoting to where you are now. So there was definitely a lot of shifts. But I think where you've landed now, the reason that it's worked so well and the reason that inside of Courage Driven Latina, we try to focus all of the courage projects to be mission focused. The
Mhm.
fact that Confianza isn't just about like, make more money, but also like teaching people the financial literacy and then the community that you're serving and the fact that there's not a barrier to entry. I feel like that is really the fact that it's a mission driven company, like a purpose driven company, is what's allowed you to overcome the perfectionism and like who cares what people think. So would
Mhm.
you agree with that? Would you agree having this? I mean, it's such an obvious yes, but like how has having a mission driven company and a bigger why helped you show up?
Yeah, and this was gonna be my next point, and it's all it didn't come together all like at once. It was through failure. It was through navigating one part, like, okay, let me try out my money coaching. Okay,
Hmm.
I don't think this is what I want. And then I don't think I added the other layer. Then I was like, I don't want to be in wealth management. I want to be a CPA. So I actually got my accounting certificate. And then I was like, you know what? I actually don't. I was like, actually, I actually resisted a lot being a part of the company. I
I
resisted
remember
it.
the coaching on this.
I resisted it so much that I was like
Hmm.
literally like I was like I'm going to apply for another job, like I think that's what I need to do. And I was like, okay, I'm going to get into accounting. What do I need to do? So I was like still exploring that path, and I was like, okay, um I want to go work for this like a big public four. That's going to be my next goal. And so I applied to grad school, actually. Like I applied to my master's program. This was like back in I believe in December. This so it wasn't that long ago. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go back to school, I'm gonna work, and I'm gonna get my CPA license, and I'm gonna still help out Jerry and all of this, and I'm gonna still like be very involved. And then I was like, what am I doing? Oh no, this was the pivotal point. I started interviewing for accounting jobs. And then I was like holed up at an interview for like 2 hours. And I was like, I literally got a feeling in the pit of my stomach, and I was like I was crying for days because I was like, I don't want to do this. I was like, I don't want to go back to a 9 to 5. Like this is not the answer. But I think I had to go do it to
Yeah.
really understand, because my I love my husband, but I'm like, he could have been all day like, you don't need another 9 to 5, you don't need another five. But he was like, she has to figure it out on her own.
Yeah.
She has to go through the feeling. She has to go through the roller coaster to really understand what's next.
And
So I
if you
ended
didn't
up,
do that, you would have always wondered what if.
yes. Yes. And so then I ended up applying to grad school, and so now I'm in that process, and that was basically the answer to pretty much get into a big four. And now I'm looking at it and I'm like, I still want my CPA, but I don't think I want to work for a company. I think I'm going to be the CPA of my firm.
Exactly. And it's so here's, oh my gosh, you bring up such a good point because I think people are like, "Oh, I'll be ready once I get a certification. I'll be ready once I get another degree. I'll be ready once this, once that." But when you take an action with an intention like you're doing right now with like, "Okay, I'm going to become a CPA because that's going to help us in our business." You are going to go into that CPA, into your masters with so much more intention and knowing like, oh, I know what this is for. But a lot of times people want to go get another degree with like, oh, I need the clarity, so let me just go get another degree. And that's when and hey, I'm pro education, I'm pro like, yeah, do the things. But when people are like, oh, first I'm going to do that to see if I want to do this, I'm like, that's a huge resource of time, money, energy, and you could finish and decide that you don't want to do it. I think you have gone through the route where you're like, okay, now if I do this, it's actually going to help our business. And even like when you're in class, you're going to take so much more out of it because you can apply it to your business.
Right. But I didn't know it was gonna unfold in this way. It just did.
Mm-hmm.
Because now it was like, honestly, I was at a point where I was like, I love doing the marketing. I love creating content. It's so much fun. Like I think it's so much fun compared to what I was doing before. And it's fun. Like, I know you mentioned like all of um the things that you were doing at your tech job. For me, I was reading trust. I was setting up like accounts. Even when we were setting up like your stuff, like I was like, oh yeah, I used to like manage Schwab. Yep, I think this is what it is. Like, and I'm like, wow, all this knowledge is actually helpful right now. But in the
Yeah.
moment, you don't think it's helpful. And so I think that's
Mm-hmm.
also the way that my CPA route has like kind of unfolded itself, where now I have a bigger why to it, because like, honestly, if it wasn't for this, I'd be like, I'm happy doing marketing. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if this is the route that I'm going to be doing, because I think I get that creative outlet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with it. But now I have that, okay, I'm going to move forward with this because it's going to be transformative for our clients. It's going to elevate, everything within our company, and it's going to pay off in that matter. So yes, because it's a big process. Like, kudos to everybody who has these licenses, because it's a long process. And now I'm like, wow, like, but now I'm in it, and now I have a big why, and a purpose driven company that is like pushing me forward to this route. But it didn't start out that way.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you for being so open. So we're pretty much going to start wrapping up, but I just have a few more questions. So you rejoined Courage Driven Latina a second time. What made you come back, and what did you feel like? What benefit? Because you could have just ended the year and like, have already gained a bunch of clarity, but why did you choose to come back for a second round?
To be fully transparent, I think it was because I was okay. So I joined the first round to start posting online, right? But that was my big courage project. And by the time that my year was up, I was already like, you know, I'm committed to Confianza. Like, this is it. There's no going back. But the thing that actually, there was a lot of life stuff that was coming up. And I think one thing that I've heard from just listening to your podcast, and you interview a lot of your entrepreneur friends, is that entrepreneurship is a personal growth journey. So there was
Totally.
things going on in my personal life that I felt like needed healing. And I mean, I'm all for therapy. I did therapy, but I just felt like I'm a deep thinker. And so you left me with a lot of deep questions to reflect on. And it was really transformational for me, because I was like, what is it why am I still getting angry? Why am I still feeling so emotional about this? I thought I healed this. I don't want to feel like this anymore. Like, what's going on? And so, like I said, I think before I was so busy in my 9 to 5 that I didn't even have time to like process my emotions. But when you have more time, oh, you're thinking about
Mm-hmm.
stuff a lot more. So that's why I was like, I need to fix this. If I want to like move forward, show up authentically, be a leader, I need to do the work. So I think that's what pushed me to rejoining. And Jerry, actually, I was hesitant to rejoin. And the reason is because I was like, I feel like I already did a year and all of this, but Jerry was like, you need to go. Like you need to join like continue. I don't think the work is done. I think you still need a lot of healing to do. And so I think these past couple of months have been healing. And last year, I turned 29 and I was so emotional for my birthday. This year, I think I was pretty good. I felt really good. I felt really confident. I didn't feel like, I think last year I felt like a failure. And this year I felt like I'm on the right path no matter what. So I think that was transformative for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And you bring up such a good point where I think what you got out of the first round, yes, you did what your courage project was, which was to create content, and you reached your goal, but it was more of a life coaching year for you where the aspects or the things that you took from the program were more, yes, the creating content, but there was more there for you as well from the life perspective and from the healing perspective. And this time that you've joined, you're super active on the business coaching calls. Your questions are more about business. Like there might be a little bit of life coaching question here and there, but I think now you're more on like the CEO path versus the last time you were on the like healing path and content creation path. And now it's like building on top of that. And I want to say, because you rejoined like what, 3 months ago, and you've already, I feel like, accomplished so much. And not to take away from last year because you needed that, right? Like that was the foundation to get to where you are now. So yeah, I'm glad that you rejoined. And then I'm glad that we've been able to work together also in private coaching. So my next question is, what would you say to the person listening who's maybe been watching Courage Driven Latina from the sidelines? You said you were listening to the podcast for like a few years already, and you didn't join until after listening for some time. So what would you say to somebody who's feeling stuck, but they're scared to make a move, or they're not sure, is this program going to work for me? Am I going to feel welcome? To like all of the typical thoughts that can come up when we're going to make an investment in ourselves.
Oh my gosh, you're bringing me back to that moment. I, okay, I have two things. So I would say join, because at the end of the day, like I wish the thing that I was telling myself, so Erica, like, which I think you do know this, is that I was like, I'll join when I quit my 9 to 5. So that's why I joined in February of 2024. Um, but once I was in it, I was like, man, I should have joined this when I was in my 9 to 5. I'm like, that's what this would have been, because there's so many the community is great, and there's so many professionals that you know that are in a 9 to 5. You can't go to your tia and your mom and dad talking about, like, thankfully, like, I think because I've worked at a 9 to 5, my future children, I would be like, yeah, I understand what you're talking about. But that, like, but that dynamic, your parents don't understand, your tío don't understand.
Yeah.
Maybe your cousin understands if they decided to take the corporate route. So you really have no one, and you're navigating like real corporate American jobs. And one thing is, like, even just, I think the reason why I failed in my 9 to 5 was because I thought, like, just working hard was going to get me promotions, but it's not. It's a different strategic game when it comes to your 9 to 5. It's a popularity contest. That's the way I see it now. So it is, but just also having like the, like, experience of other women who have worked in the corporate and helping you navigate certain situations. I was like, man, if I had this while I was working my 9 to 5, I think it would have solved so many problems that I was facing. And so I think that would be the biggest takeaway, is that it's helpful, because if you're going through career stuff, you're going to gain that. If you're going through confidence issue, it's going to help in that area too. But if you've been also dreaming of, like, launching your own business and creating content online, it's going to do that too. So I think it's helped me in those three areas. I think I've learned things, like, at one point we had like an HR person, and I learned things that I didn't even know. So it's beneficial to have a network where you can rely on other women that are in that same journey, if not have more experience than you.
Yeah. Yes. I agree with that 100%. What about with Confianza Wealth? Where can people connect with you, learn from you, and then join the movement that you're building there? And like who is it for?
Yeah, so it's for first-time wealth builders that didn't grow up with money, that are really navigating the first time. Like probably they have a great corporate career, they've built a great small business, and now they're making more money than their parents ever did. And obviously, like I said, very similar to corporate America, where you can't really go to your tia or your tío or your parents for where do I save my money, where do I invest it. It's really for those people. So it's like I feel like I took a lot of like the compass of like what you do for Latinas in terms of creating a community for support, like in different areas around their lives. But for us, it's mainly in finance. It's really being that support system of providing those tools and resources to help them grow money and build their wealth and protect it. So that's who our ideal a client is. We also do have a podcast, Building Wealth from Scratch, where my husband and I talk about our different experiences building wealth, like, and just navigating that experience while also giving personal finance tips. So you can find us on Spotify or Apple, but if you're on Instagram, I would say that's the best place to find us. I'm at It's Bianca Ariana. My husband is Wealth with Jerry, and we both post consistently on there. We're on TikTok as well, but Instagram is usually the place that we're the most active.
Perfect. So we will link all of that down below, the podcast, your socials, Jerry's socials, and then the Confianza Wealth social. Bianca, it has been such a pleasure to speak with you. I'm glad
Yes.
that you said yes to this invitation. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you want to share with the listeners?
I no, I think I am just like so happy that I joined Courage Driven Latina, and definitely if anybody has any questions, wants to reach out and learn, like just learn a little bit more about what has been my experience. If they have any questions, I will say this was the second thing, it just came back. Um, I was so scared to ask for coaching the first couple. I don't know if
Yeah.
you remember that. I was
Hmm.
terrified to ask for coaching because I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm just a very like discreet person, and so I don't like, it was just like, oh, I'm putting out my business with, you know, 20 other women in this call. And not maybe not the best version of myself. And so and I've cried, like I'm not a crier, but I've cried a lot on on the calls. And so I think the biggest thing that I feel like it's a safe space. So for anybody that does decide to join and the first couple of calls are intimidating, like I was like, what is this? Is this a safe space? Is Erica gonna call me out? Like what is going on? But Erica is really, she's really there to support you, to help you. And she's never shamed anybody. Like I think you're just like the most supportive coach, and I'm so happy that you're really just such a great coach that really how to really say what somebody really needs to hear when they're going through that difficult. At least for me, when I've been going through those difficult moments, you've always known what to say to me, and I always appreciate that. And that's why I'm so grateful for your program.
So what happened when you did speak up? Was it a safe space?
Oh, oh yeah, it was a safe space. Like you were like everybody's so supportive. You know, if anything, it was like I felt safe. Like I think that
Hmm.
was I started like getting more coaching, and I stopped feeling like the spotlight. I felt like the spotlight was with me, but like a lot of the other women are going through very similar situations, and
Yeah.
sometimes like I think even other people's coaching is very helpful and transformative. And that's why you do it in a group, because we really do grow together, and we build this bond of like,
Hmm.
we see you, we know what it's taken to get to for you to get to this point. And so I think that's the beautiful part versus a one-on-one. You
Yeah.
don't get that same experience.
Definitely. Well, thank you for your sweet words and thank you for trusting me as your coach. I love seeing your growth and I'm excited that we still get to keep working together throughout this year and part of next year. And I'm just excited for what you and Jerry are doing with Confianza Wealth. I know you're totally changing the game. Again, as a client of yours, I truly believe in what you're doing. So for those of you listening, if you took anything away from this podcast episode, take a screenshot, tag both Bianca and myself because we want to know what stood out to you. Send her a DM if you don't want to post it on your stories. Just tell her what
Yes.
resonated, what part of her story or transformation resonated with you. Bianca, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for joining me this week. Make sure to visit theericacruz.com. That's Erica with a K, where you can subscribe to the show so you'll never miss an episode. You can help this podcast grow by supporting me with an Apple Podcast rate and review. If you took anything away from this episode, I invite you to take a screenshot and share it on social media so that your favorite badass Latinas can also check it out. Be sure to tag me at the Erica Cruz. That's Erica with a K because you know I want to see it. If you're ready to join the revolution and be a part of the Courage Driven Latina community, visit couragedrivenlatina.com to get more information and join the waitlist. Thanks again, and I'll see you next week.